Hi everyone, welcome back to Salt of Circe. I'm your host Circe, and today I want to talk to you guys about the Witch's Pyramid. Now, I'm going to be reading from my school book, Going Through the Occult School the First Year, which is The Inner Temple of Witchcraft by Christopher Penczak, and you can buy these books. They're available on Amazon and they are available in pretty much all occult stores. Okay, the Witch's Pyramid is very important to follow. I can't stress that enough. In my personal experience, and as I kind of just briefly read from Christopher Penczak's book, I'm going to explain to you why it's important, okay? So, on page 64, the Witch's Pyramid, and you'll see the pyramid right here, which is it's just a metaphor of just something that you're supposed to do inside, okay? The precept of silence comes from the teaching of the Witch's Pyramid. This is not an actual building, but a philosophy of magic based on the image of the pyramid. Many feel the magic and the essence of witchcraft came from the land of the pyramids, Egypt, from the ancient goddess religions of the Nile. Okay, I'm going to kind of skip a couple of sentences. Here we go. The base of the pyramid consists of 4 points, one for each of the 4 elements. The first is earth, and the concept is to know. This is your clear intention. So I'm not reading from his book on this. I'm just going to tell you what that means to me. You have to clearly think about what you want and have the intention written in a universal language so that it manifests or you align with it. There might be some things in the way that have to get out of the way for that to happen. It also depends on if you're working with angels, if you're working with demons, if you're working with deities, and how these things come to you. Personally, I like working with gods and goddesses. Never really felt drawn to working with a demon. I don't know. That's just me. I'm not against people that do. So, everybody has to do what works for him or her. Now, back to the earth to know. I'm just going to give you a couple of experiences in my life. So before you make any definite decisions about what you want, really sit with it for a while. Don't act on it right away if it's something big. Okay? This isn't about you sitting around just casting a spell and waiting for it to appear in your lap without doing any type of action. So, I'm going to go through a couple of things. Let's say you have not worked on your subconscious beliefs. I'm using this as an example. You haven't worked on your subconscious beliefs, and you would like to do a spell to manifest. Oh, here, we can use my spray. STL Aromatics, if you're in the St. Louis area. Ingrid is the owner, and she's just so lovely. And here's my little prosperity spray. So let's say you do a spell and it's to manifest a large amount of money, because it seems like everybody wants love and everybody wants money. So first, if you grew up poor and your subconscious is programmed to be poor, and you go to try to do a spell to manifest money, I can almost guarantee, because I've seen it happen to people, I can almost guarantee it's going to come to you not the way you want it to. For example, you might get into a car accident and you can sue the other person for that $10,000 you wanted or more. Maybe somebody close to you dies and then you inherit their money. Don't think for a second, do not think for a second that a deity won't take out somebody to get you what you want, depending on who it is. It depends on who it is. It may be the loss of a relationship so you get your finances together. So many different ways. Maybe it's a job, but you end up hating it. My point is, if your subconscious hasn't been worked on and you're going and doing this kind of work, it's not going to come to you the way you want, okay? So you really want to work on the shadow first. I highly recommend that. I highly recommend doing 99.9% of my spell work is on me. I do not do spells on other people. I just don't. Unless it's absolutely necessary. And like the mirror magic one I did, that was years ago on somebody else. But as you grow as a witch, you will learn that when you work on yourself, those type of things don't even come around you. So then your spell work becomes really about you. I do my spell work about me, to advance myself, to better myself, to give myself answers. I know a lot of people starting off and maybe even later down the road as a witch, they really like to focus on what's going on outside of them to control them, but really the real power is focusing on you and what's inside of you, because the inside of you is what controls the outside of you, okay? So there's my example of, and I lost my spot, forgive me. The first is earth. Okay, so there's my example of earth. Now, going to the next one, the second. I'm gonna try to mark this so I don't miss it. There we go. The second is to will. Now that's the fire element. This one can get kind of tricky, okay? So you're creating the spell. When I first started off, I looked at books to create my spells, and really all you need to know is the correspondences, and I write my own spells. I don't look at books. I don't get the exact ingredients. This person said to do this, and this. No. I create my own spells, okay? And yeah, I mean, that's what works for me. Because I have learned how to write intentions. Going through the school, I have learned, well, the will I've always had. I'm a fire sign, so I'm a hardcore fire sign. And yes, to will is the passion to want it. You have to want it so bad. I forget what philosopher it was that held his student's head under the water. Well, no, first he said, what are you thinking about? And the student was like, oh, I'm thinking about this and this and this and this and this. And he said, you have to learn how to, he was trying to teach him about focus, what it means to focus. So he put his head under the water long enough to where when he pulled his head up, he said, what were you thinking about then? And he said, just thinking about being able to breathe. And that's the type of focus you want. So when you cast a spell and you have the will, it's got to be so, like, it's got to be a feeling of, it's done. I know my stuff. I know how to make things happen. And I'm not even worried about it. I don't need to check on it. I don't need to do this or to do that. Excuse me. So that's the kind of feeling you want. You don't want to keep looking for it. You just know that it's done and that's it, and move on. Okay, next is, I'm trying to read this through. The third is to dare, and that's the air element. That means you have to have some type of action. Now, it depends, and this is a gray area for me. So if I was doing a spell to make somebody go away and leave me alone, the only action I need to take is to do the spell and to move on and not think about it anymore. If I'm doing a spell to become a successful YouTuber, I'm not just going to do the spell and then just sit back and go, yeah, I'm not going to get out there on groups and socialize with people. I'm going to keep verbalizing how I hate people and I don't like being around people. And if you're saying that to the universe, they're not going to bring you anybody to follow you or listen to you. So don't talk like that. And you're not just going to like lay back and wait for money to appear in your lap. I'm doing this because it's my passion. Okay. I have a successful career. I make good money. I live nice. And this is what I love. I love doing this. You know, it's nice. It's fun to me, and that's it. I take it serious, of course, but I have fun with it too. Okay. So you have to take some kind of action. It's the air element. Now, there's more to it than that. There's more to it than that. Let me tell you, this is why I love Ho'oponopono. You cannot just do a spell and be like, I want money to come to me, but I'm going to complain about bills. I'm going to complain about my debt. I'm going to complain about how much money I make, because guess what? You're thinking the thought, and that thought is triggering an emotion, and then you're speaking it. And when you speak, that's powerful. Thoughts are powerful too. But the thoughts, when those thoughts start, I like to just, I am sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. I don't care what it is. If I can just catch my thought, it could be about worry, doubt, fear, anger. I am not perfect by no means, but it takes practice. You have to practice. And I'll tell you what, I've been in the moments of getting really fueled up, and I'm just like, I am sorry, please forgive me. Like in my career, you know, being a nurse, you can get a lot of people that are like in your face, and I just, you know, and I make sure not to look with them or look at those people with a look of disgust or annoyance. It's like I'm trying to put myself in their shoes and go, you know what, and actually come off compassionate towards them. And I have found just doing this for a long time, and when I say a long time, my journey started 6 years ago with this stuff, learning about this stuff. I have discovered those things really don't happen to me. And not only do they not happen to me, I don't really get angry too often. Maybe like if my house isn't clean, that is one I gotta work on, because I get worked up when my house is not organized. So I think as humans, we're always gonna have those things that bother us, but if you can just, for the most part, get a majority of your emotions under control, it will benefit you greatly, okay? And then going to the last one, the fourth point is to keep silent. Let me tell you, this is a big one. It is a big one. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's say you're doing a spell for money, and then you go tell your friend, and they're not on that same vibration. Maybe they are. They're, in their minds, they're going to be like, oh yeah, right. Or, yeah, right, she's not going to get that type of money. Or, you know, they're going to, if they think something negative, or maybe it's a jealousy thing, whatever it may be, their thoughts and that vibration, because you're interacting with them. So you're connecting with them in the matrix. Your matrix is entangled with this person, and that is like a spider web, and that vibration is going to affect you, okay? So it's best to keep silent. I do not share everything I'm doing with people. Some people I will, my very close friends I will, but not everything. Never, because all it takes is a little disruption in that vibe, and it can have an impact on you, and you don't want that. Also, I'm going to kind of throw in, because this is part of manifesting, the witch's pyramid, and I'm trying to get out of saying manifesting, because really it's about aligning with what you want, okay? It's about aligning with it. So if the subconscious beliefs are not in alignment with what you want, and you go to cast a spell, you might get like that sparkler that's kind of bad, and you lit it and it kind of went beep and just goes out. You might get one of those. Do the shadow work. The shadow work is going to make you soar. I promise, and I will do videos on what I did to go through my shadow work. Now, on an end note, because I'm going to get off here, I have to go run some errands. On an end note, when you're doing all this type of alignment work and everything like that, and you're practicing the shadow work, which I'm not doing it now because I'm in the middle of writing a school of alchemy, working with different things. I'm not going to say it. But when you're doing the shadow work, which I'm going to be making a course, probably a little mini one on this, please know, do not rush it. And it's very dangerous, actually. Shadow work is very dangerous. And most people do not tell you that. But I like to use a face mask as an example. If your pores are clogged and you have really bad acne and you go to put a face mask on, it's gonna pull up all that stuff all at once. and it's probably going to hurt your face, your skin's going to hurt, and it's just not pleasant. Well, it's the same for shadow work. Your whole life's going to basically go to cave. It's going to cave. It's going to flip upside down, and you have to be prepared for that. In the Temple of Witchcraft, year 3, it's based off shadow work, okay? My instructor told me, you need to wait. I was ready to do shadow work in year 2, which actually had nothing to do with them personally. It's just, I was ready to start it, and I will share that with you in a different video of my experiences, but it wasn't pretty. It was chaos. Like if the demon of chaos was in my house and in my life, that's how I felt. It was just too much. I didn't have anyone to talk to really about it. I didn't know that this was what's supposed to happen going through it, so it made it very difficult. And eventually I found out, but I wasn't prepared. I didn't have all the tools I needed to put together to make it a success, okay? So, anyway, that's all I have to say right now. And I'm gonna go spray my prosperity spray on me that I got from my STL Aromatics place in Maplewood, St. Louis. Thank you, Ingrid. And I'm going to go buy myself a couple of scratch-off tickets. Okay? All right. It was nice chatting with everyone, and I look forward to interacting with you guys. And you already know, if you want to subscribe, hit subscribe. Talk to you later. Much love, Circe.